How's it going, anybody and everybody who might be watching? This is Alex T Zombie with another weekday upload. Today, what I have for you guys, I'm pretty excited to show off a new Shulker farm that I came up with. Well, I didn't come up with the concepts or the science behind the actual Shulker farm itself. The only thing I came up with was how to build a UFO out of it, really. So to give credit where credit's due, shout out to Navy Nexus. He's the mastermind behind the actual Shulker stuff that I'm using in this video. And I also want to give a quick shout out to I already forgot his name, but links in the description. Basically, the UFO design isn't really mine either, I'll be honest. I kind of searched online for some UFOs because I was lazy, and I found this design and I thought it would fit a Shulker farm pretty nicely. So then I adapted both builds together, and I came up with this right here, where it has a beam transporting a Shulker. Basically, it's a shop idea that I had, and originally I had it so that all of the materials or all of the Shulker shells would collect inside of these barrels. But then I decided to scrap that idea and make it so that whenever the Shulkers, or taking the same concept, that whenever the Shulkers duplicate and they produce a Shulker shell, it gets dropped down. Well, first it hits that powder snow. It gets dropped into that powder snow, and then the powder snow cancels all of its momentum, meaning that we can align it on top of this block directly, and then we can lead this down to whatever storage system we might like. And then this is actually what I'm using for my Shulker shop over on my server. The only thing that I'm missing here is just some barrels, and then inside of those barrels I can fill them up with empty Shulkers for sale that people can then come pick up and replace. Now, it is possible to have multiple of these, or even build the entire farm without having to add in any of the other circuits which allow the shells to get aligned like that, like I was just saying. So like if we were to just sit here for a couple seconds, you guys will notice that eventually the Shulkers will fall down. Now, if you don't want to go about doing all this and you just want to build the little UFO, or if you want to build extra UFOs surrounding the mothership or whatever, then it is possible to build multiple of them around each other like this. The only thing you have to do is you would follow the tutorial normally. Let me just make sure that all of this is working. So you would follow the tutorial as normal, skipping the part where you build the Shulker down below, which I didn't even include, to be honest, because you can do that on yourself. And then all you have to do is just build the UFO wherever you want it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just copy one over, just like this. So you would follow the tutorial, making sure that every block is spawn proof or Shulker teleport proof, just like that. And then I just need some out the bottom as well. And this is actually the differences here from the original mothership. You guys will notice that it has the glass keeping the Shulkers unable to teleport on there, so you are going to have to start adding in string down here. And you can also replace this powdered snow with string just like that. And then out the top, what you have to do is you can just add in some scaffolding going down to here. Same idea, you build it just as you would normally, and once you get down to this part, you just get rid of the circuit for the dropper itself. Again, adding in blocks to keep the Shulkers from teleporting all over the place. And here you could just replace this with a double chest like that. Add in some string here, some scaffolding so you can get in and out. And you don't have to get rid of this trapdoor, but I like to get rid of it just because. And just like that, you have a fully functional Shulker farm, and it's disguised as a UFO up in the sky. Something pretty cool. The only thing that you do have to keep in mind with these farms is that you can't have them on the ground unless you spawn proof the ground using string or slabs, because the Shulkers could potentially teleport somewhere outside, and they do have a pretty good chance of doing so. Vertically, it's very difficult to try and stack these farms because the Shulkers take up so much space. From where the Shulker sits, it's a 6 blocks gap vertically, and the same, you guys can see, that's exactly my point. Exactly my point. It's very easy to mess up vertically and stuff. However, with this farm, the advantage of this farm is that a lot of the times the Shulker won't end up just teleporting out. It'll actually duplicate itself, and another one will still remain on the inside there. So if I got rid of this guy and we just sat here for a second, eventually what we should see happen is we should see one of those Shulkers. The Shulkers basically breed. So this farm behaves a good amount of the time as a Shulker breeder and a Shulker farm, which is pretty nice. All you have to do is just add in some solid blocks they can teleport onto out here, and whenever they end up dying, they have a chance of not only duplicating but also teleporting on out. This time I got unlucky, so you would be a little bit careful with this. Most likely what you're going to want to do is use an actual Shulker breeder, which is what I did. I bred up a whole bunch of Shulkers, and if you're moving them to the overworld, you are also going to want to be a little bit careful about that. Maybe breed a couple Shulkers, keep a couple extra just to make sure that in case something ends up going wrong like this, you have one in order to be able to replace them. But for what it's worth, this farm is completely consistent. It won't ever break once you build it, and if you build it correctly, it won't ever break. And all you ever have to do now is just, whenever you need Shulkers, just make your way on up here into the chest and pick up the shells that you need, and then make your way on out, and so on and so forth. If you're wondering about the materials, it's actually not that expensive. These are all the materials that you're going to need for the Shulker build down below. And then these are all the materials that you're going to need for the actual UFO part. If you don't want to build the beam and all that extra stuff, you can get rid of those panes there, and then you can see there that the redstone materials are actually pretty inefficient. You don't need that many. And if you're not going for the whole beam stuff down there below, you don't need the dropper, you don't need the target block, you don't need the redstone comparator, the repeater, one of the pieces of dust you don't need as well. It gets pretty cheap once it gets down to it, and it's actually not that expensive. The hard part out of this entire farm is actually transporting the Shulkers over into the overworld. That's what makes this actually a whole difficult, but I'm actually going to go ahead and show you guys how to go about that. So when it comes to the actual transportation of the Shulkers, you obviously want to go into the end and kill the Ender Dragon. After killing the Ender Dragon, and you might want to have to do this a couple times just so you can get an end gateway that spawns close to a ship. So I went through that one already, and I didn't have the best luck. It was a pretty bad spawn, so I decided to do it again. And what you're looking for is to spawn as close to a ship as possible. If you feel killing the Ender Dragon is going to take longer than just building some long ass rails in order to find a end city where you can transport Shulkers from, then it's really up to you however you want to do this. But I'm gonna be transporting the Shulkers using the end gateways. So I think this is probably the easiest way to go about it. You're gonna want to go to these two front Shulkers because they're probably gonna be the easiest ones to get to, and then you're gonna start by building off like this. Using invisibility potions is gonna be one of the easiest ways to actually be able to transport these guys without getting hurt. Unless if you have access to peaceful, then by all means. That's what I did actually. I'm not gonna lie, I went into peaceful just to make things a whole lot easier for me, because I wasn't about to deal with the Shulker shooting at me and needing invisibility potions and all that type of stuff. But you're just gonna do this, and you're gonna grab up the Shulker into your minecart like this, push him along, and that other guy teleported. And so this is actually a good time to show. If somebody's already raided the NCD and you notice that there's no shulkers near the floor there, so you're gonna have to, meaning that you're gonna have to access or grab one of the shulkers from up here. You can still go ahead and do that. All you have to do is build out like this. Same concept. You pick them up in the shulker. Now, before you push them off, you wanna go directly underneath him and place a couple or go down and place a couple rails where you know he's gonna land or they're gonna land. And after you do that, you're now able to push the shulker off just like this. They'll land on top of those rails, hopefully. And regardless, apparently they don't take any fall damage, but I would place the rails just to make sure. I mean, the last thing we need is to kill the shulker and make this, you know, as annoying as possible. And basically, you're just gonna want to do this going all the way down to the end gateway. The way you're gonna get them into the portal here now, you're gonna add in a couple rails like this. So the shulker's here like that, and you're gonna push him into the front of the portal. You're gonna rub up against it and break that. You guys will notice that sometimes it'll be a little bit iffy, so you're just gonna have to it's gonna go like this, and you can just pick him back up. Same procedure. You're gonna push him into the end gateway. You're gonna push him up as far as you can and then break it. If you notice that you're not having much luck, you might want to try another side of it. It's not the most consistent thing, so you're gonna want to play around with this a little bit. You have to have a good amount of patience to actually get them into the overworld. I might have messed this up, but you guys can see that eventually he will teleport through the actual gateway. And you're gonna repeat the same thing with the other shulker, and once you have two of them over here, you can, again, same idea. You grab them, you place some rails to the right of them like this, or to the left, whatever, and then you push them going all the way up to the portal. And here, what you want to do now is you want to bring them up like this, and I would add a block like so. You're gonna push this guy up, have him fall down into there, and then from here all you have to do is just break the minecart and he'll make his way into the overworld. Now the next issue with this is that, so let's send both guys over like this, right? Let's say I grabbed them off from the end gateways or the end cities and the end gateways, and then I did the portal stuff and everything. The issue with this now is that there's a bug on Bedrock, go figure, where they spawn about 5,000 blocks in the air, and we can't build up that high to grab the minecarts or put them in minecarts and stuff and build rails. So what you have to do is you have one or two options. You can either send a minecart like that, and you might want to send another one. And again, you guys saw they don't take damage. And minecarts, you're gonna be using minecarts, so most likely this is gonna be the best option. But if you really want another way to go about this, and this is actually a little bit more convenient, because I like placing them in boats to move them around. I'm just more, I do it a lot with villagers, and so I was more familiar doing that with, it was more comfortable for me doing that with shulkers. And you also have to cross oceans a lot. You can just send a boat all along the same way you do a minecart. And now you just go through the end gateway and you wait. You just sit there at spawn, and eventually you'll notice that the shulkers fall down along with the minecarts as well as the boats. Lastly, before getting started with this tutorial, I will not be giving you guys a block by block for the actual shulker shop thing itself. You can just go ahead and take a quick screenshot. Pretty simple build. It's a 13 by 13 by 15 blocks tall, I think. So starting off with the glass panes, you're gonna go up like this in the corner, and then you're gonna build something like this. You're gonna go all the way up to the edge, again leaving the corners. Or indenting the corners in by one like that. And then on these corners, what's going to happen now is you're going to place the second ring of blocks or glass panes just like so. And this will start creating that effect with when it comes to the beams, I guess, that the UFOs be having. And same idea, you go up in the corner and you indent the corner like this, and then you start doing the same thing going all the way around. I'm sure by now you guys can kind of get to see, you should get to see where the pattern is. And again, on the second one, you just connect it up like this, making a ring. Just like so. So you're going to continue this, bring it right the way up, just like this. And once you get to the 3x3, that's when we're actually going to begin the building of the UFO. You're going to start off by grabbing your lime green concrete, and you're going to place it just like this. This would be a good as time as any to grab up your dropper as well. Place it facing upside down, otherwise later on it's going to be a little bit more challenging to try and actually place it. As well as the powdered snow right here. So the powdered snow will again not only align our items by killing their momentum, but also keep any of the shulkers from wanting to teleport onto the face of our dropper here. And then you're going to take your blocks of quartz and you're going to begin by placing them like this, and then you're going to surround all of these using quartz slabs, upside down quartz slabs, as well as grabbing up your gray concrete and placing it in the corners just like this. Now I advise, as you're building this, go ahead and start adding string wherever you're going to have string. So underneath all of these blocks we're going to have string to keep our shulkers from teleporting, just like that. And after you do that, we can now go ahead and get started on the next layer. This next layer is going to look like this, and it's going to go all the way around using the gray wool. Just like that. And again, you want to go through and add in string wherever shulkers can spawn. However, before we do that, I do have a couple buttons that we're going to place just to have a little bit of extra detail. So I take back what I said previously. The buttons do keep the shulkers from teleporting, obviously. If not, we wouldn't be able to use them on the build itself. Now, the only reason I used string as opposed to using buttons on the build in order to keep the shulkers from teleporting is because from far away the string doesn't render, meaning that it's basically invisible and it keeps the shulkers from teleporting just the same. What you're going to want to do is, I would actually go ahead from up here, place the string like this, going all the way around. I'm in creative, so it's a little bit easier for me to do this faster. And once you do this, once you place the string all the way around, you're going to place a layer, the next ring of blocks, which is going to be the gray concrete, on top of it, just like this. Now, this is also where we're gonna take our sea lanterns. Just double check while I'm here. We're gonna take our sea lanterns and we're gonna place them here, as well as in this corner, I believe. Goes out. Yeah, diagonally to our buttons. Just like this. Same procedure. Take your string. Now for this next layer, we don't have to go all the way around. So the first three is going to go like this, and then we can have it. Looks like I have messed up on part of it, but from what I believe, from what I know, we can just go out the edge like this. You don't have to worry about connecting the string. Which makes it a lot easier for you, for all of you playing in survival mode. Just like that. And same idea, we're going to place our next layer of gray concrete on top of this. Once you've taken care of all of the gray concrete, you can also go ahead and add in another layer of string. Just like that. So from here, what's going to happen, you can take I'm also going to need some smooth stone slabs. You can start building up some of the spaceship here. So for example, here in the front, you're going to want to connect these corners. And on top of these, you're going to take some of the light gray wool. Is it light gray? Yeah, some of the light gray wool. And then behind that, you're going to come behind it with some gray wool, just like this. Got a little confused there. And you could change up some of this on the outside. Again, you just got to keep in mind that wherever you're not using something like carpet, you're going to want to be using string in order to keep the shulkers from teleporting all over the place. So with the slabs here, you're going to start off by adding one here. You're going to go into like this, and the same on the other side so they connect just like that. And finally, you're going to want to add a block here. And again, wherever there's not going to go any carpet, you're going to be placing string just like this. So slab, diagonally 2, slab, and then back diagonally by 2. And what I would also do is underneath all the slabs, I would add blocks just like this. And this might even make it a little bit easier for you to actually place the slabs themselves. Just like that. On top of this gray wool, you're going to place a lime green carpet like this, and then 3 gray carpets just like that, to help cut back on the string and use a little bit more of the building materials themselves. From here, you're going to go around it just like that, connecting up all of the sides. This is where you should be at. And this is also a good time to start laying out a little bit of glass so you can start to see. Oh, also you want to connect up this right here. But like I was saying, this is where you can start seeing down some glass so you can start to see where you need string. Go all the way around just like that. And these are going to be your final few pieces of string to keep the shulkers from teleporting all over the place. So that is majority of the UFO done. From here, and again, if you don't really like the way it looks, just use the same concepts. I'm not the happiest with it. It could be a little bit more round perhaps here on the corners and stuff like that. So just remember, wherever you're not using blocks that mobs can't teleport on, for example the carpets or the bottom half slabs like this, you need to have string or buttons in order to keep the shulkers from teleporting all over the place. From here, you're gonna go back inside. We're now gonna start off with all of the redstone that we're gonna need for this. You're gonna start off by placing a hopper leading into the dropper like this, and you're gonna go to either end like this. It doesn't matter which direction, just pick one. And we're gonna go out by one more on whichever side you want. From here, what you're going to do, you're going to take some soul sand. You're gonna go out diagonally like this, and the same thing on the other side. After you do this, you want to take your trapdoors. I didn't mention this earlier, but these can be wood if you want them to. They don't have to be iron. I only chose iron because I like the way that they look. So you're gonna have to remove this, and this is where it's gonna get a little bit tricky because we are gonna have to dig into here, and then this is where we're gonna place now our chains. Now, keep in mind that again, wherever is a solid block, a shulker can teleport to. So you're gonna want to start replacing a whole lot of these using glass in order to keep the shulker from teleporting all over the place. So, and another thing is, for some reason they can teleport onto the chains themselves, which is really weird. So we need to add string on top of those chains as well, just like that. And then you're gonna want some glass on this side, and on either end of the soul sand. But we're gonna finish off with that in a second because we are gonna add in some redstone. So just hold off on that. Probably you can get away with that. And then you're gonna do the same thing on this other side. This is where the snow golem is gonna sit. So we're gonna have our chain right here. Then you're gonna surround this in glass, just like so. And you can start by adding in glass over here in the corners, so you can start making sure that there aren't any spots where the shulkers can teleport. This would be a good time as ever to add in the actual snow golems. So you can spawn these guys in, they'll get trapped on top of that chain there. You can also add in the glass, and don't forget the string where they're sitting. Now, the one on the right over here, you can see we can cover him up pretty easily. You just add in a glass block like that and you're done with that. But the one on the left is a little bit trickier, as well as we are also going to want some string right there. This one's going to be a little bit trickier because if we were to just, add string and then replace the carpet like this, whenever it rains, the snow golem has a chance of dying, or it will die. It doesn't have a chance, it will die to the rain. So you're gonna need an extra trap door on top of its head like that, and you can finally add in the green carpet, or the carpet on top of the snow golem, just to complete that look there. From here, what we can do is you can start off from the center, and you're gonna go in this direction. I believe this one should be solid blocks over on this side. Let me just double check from the photos. Bear with me, guys, I got some technical difficulties here. Yeah. So this side is solid blocks, and then over here on this side we're gonna have some glass just like this, and this is where we're gonna have our tripwires sit. These are gonna have the same function as the trap doors or the pressure plates from Navy Nexus's old design. From here, you can take some redstone torches. You can place one on this end and one on this end. You can also take some solid blocks, place them here, and then place them here. Some blocks like this with redstone dust on top of them. What this does is, as long as they're open, the snow golems are going to be able to target the shulkers, but as soon as they close, the snowballs are going to get caught on the trapdoor, and I think they also keep the shulker bullets from hitting them, I believe. Now, from here, what we can do is sometimes it has a chance of, you know, staying on a close position, or basically what I'm trying to say is that if you load in and out of the game, it has a chance of staying in a state that will break the farm or ruin some rates. So in order to make it relog proof, what we're gonna do is you're gonna take a observer and face it into that block there. You can then take a glass block like this and finish it off like so. Same on the other side, you're going to take an observer with redstone dust on top of that. Again, just, you know, keep an eye out for anywhere you might have open spaces, so you can start filling those in as you're building. Now here is where it's going to get a little bit weird. We're going to use a redstone block instead of a torch, just because we're going to end up now adding in the on and off switch for the farm here. What this will do is it'll block the snow golems from being able to look at the shulkers, effectively turning off the farm whenever you need it to turn it off. So like I let it run on the server until a double chest of shulker shells was full, and then I just leave it off, and if I ever want any more, you know, you could just turn it back on pretty easily. From here, last redstone circuits is going to be the comparator clock, which will be shooting the shells into the ground down below. I believe you can have this going out any which way that you want. You can either have it going this way or that way, it doesn't matter. Just go ahead and start doing this with a comparator on subtract mode, leading into a block, some dust, and then another block like this, a repeater, some more dust, and finally a target block in order to actually power the dropper. And that's the entirety of the redstone complete. Before we can actually go ahead and add in the shulkers onto these two solid blocks, we are going to have to start filling in the entirety of this inside. You could potentially, if you want to, go through and add in string so that you can, if you really wanted to, have a little bit of a breathing room down here if you want to actually enter the UFO itself, right? Because on the design that I'm gonna show you guys, you can't really go inside of it, which is a little bit disappointing. You can really only hang out on the top here, but it's not terrible. You know, I didn't really care to go inside. If I really want to, I could build a bigger UFO that actually drives itself or something, maybe some point in the future when I maybe sometime I'll challenge myself with flying machines. But until then, you're gonna go through and start filling in the entirety of this with glass. The way I will go about this is I will go from you would start on one side and go from left to right in order to make sure that you fill it in as you make sure that you fill it in every single block and that there isn't any spaces left open which shulkers could potentially teleport to. So you're just gonna go through, make sure every nook and cranny is filled as best as possible, just like this. And wherever there's redstone, it'll take care of the shulkers trying to teleport onto it, so you don't have to worry about that one too much. You want to watch out. Beneath this soul sand is a spot I would always miss, so just just be a little bit careful whenever building this. Just like that. Don't go on top of the soul sand. You're gonna leave some space right there. So if we had this open, you want to make sure that all this space here is left open for the shulkers to be able to actually look at the golems and try to shoot at them. Same thing over here. Make sure everything is filled up. Just like that. And if you really want to get technical about it, again, if you want to get inside the UFO, the only thing you really have to worry about are solid blocks like the observers, the soul sand, and the pistons and these blocks. So if you want to be able to get inside the UFO, you could do something like this. Remove that block there and it'll behave the same, and you won't have to worry about adding any glass or string around it. But I just wanted to be safe about it in order to make sure that I never have to go back in and fix any of the farm in the future. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish off filling in the rest of this with glass. And finally, before we finish closing this all in, what you're going to want to do is add in some water sources on top of the soul sand, just like that. And finally, you can finish off with the final layer of glass. Going on top the entirety of this machine. We of course want to have access to the on and off switch. So what I like to do is I like to place some wooden trap doors. Like this. So you can access that, and as well whenever you start adding in the glass on top like this to give it that little dome shape on top, you can actually get inside without falling into the on and off switch itself. So let's just go ahead and keep it on off mode for now. Yeah, so again, like I was saying, it is possible for you to be able to make your way inside. You could probably even make use of scaffolding and stuff. Just add string on the top. And that way you could replace the actual dropper and that bit of redstone there with a double chest. And you could have it so that you only need the UFO itself and you don't need any of the extra build potentially. Which is actually a pretty cool option as well. Just like that. And with that, The build is officially complete. The only thing we're missing is to drag the actual shulkers right to the top. So the way I recommend going about this, so that you can transport both shulkers at the same time, is grabbing a whole bunch of scaffolding blocks. I did this using dirt. Where am I? And from wherever your shulkers are down at the floor, right? Let's say your shulkers are here and they're sitting inside the boat. From wherever they are down at the floor, you're going to build a staircase going all the way up to the top of the UFO. And if you want to cut corners, all you have to do is this. And you can actually move pretty fast with this. If I were to lead this real quick, you guys will see that they make their way all the way up here. You do want to make this a little bit of a staircase as well, just to make sure they can jump up to the top. And I would make sure that, oh, I almost let them fall. I would make sure that they sit like that, so that they align with the middle of these next blocks. I'll leave you guys to worry about bringing the shulkers all the way up to the top on your boat or your minecart, whichever one you prefer. Before you can actually get them inside, I would recommend maybe opening up the roof a little bit. I just went ahead and punched out the entire thing here. And you're also going to want to add 2 more pieces of string on top of these blocks here, just to make sure that they can't teleport on top of this. Now, in order to display this, I will be adding them in manually in order to, for the sake of demonstration. Let's say they're up here like this. I bring them all the way up to the top on my boat. All you have to take care of now is just, once they're on the top here, break the boat. And eventually they should teleport onto the blocks there. If you don't have the farm on, you might want to be a little bit careful, because they do have a potential of drowning. But they should teleport on their own way before they drown. And just like that, your farm is officially complete. And if you take a look out the bottom, eventually, once one of them dies and duplicates, and then we get shulkers, they'll make their way down, and they'll go all the way down into our collection system. You can see we already have 2. And just like that, that concludes today's tutorial. If you guys enjoyed, please remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I put a lot of work into this just to make sure that it can be as easy and understandable as possible. Regardless, in case I never see you guys again, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your lives. Until next time, it was Zombie.